Happy New Year, Coach. How are you?
Happy New Year. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thank
Good.
you. Hey, just for those who are kind of looking in from 300 miles away, if you could tell me a bit about the season. I mean, obviously we're at the halfway point, but it seems like for you guys, it's already been kind of like a tale of two seasons here with that fabulous first start, and then you're like 2-6 in these last stretch of games here. So just if you could just kind of, how would you sum up the season at this point?
Exactly like you said it, a tale of two halves. I think we jumped off to a terrific start. I don't think we handled our success well early on, and yet in those last set of games you've talked about, we've been right there to close out 3 of those games and haven't been able to do it. And some of that has to do with injuries, with Drick being beat up a little bit. He's back healthy now, and I just think for us right now, it's about protecting your home court. The conference obviously is tough. It's tough winning on the road, and even though UW got their split, we didn't get ours done, and not having Drick in the UCLA game hurt us. But there's nothing we can do about that now. But get back here and get ready for a great game here.
Hey, if you could, the one thing that really jumped out to me about your squad is the reliance on the three-point shot. I don't remember that ever being kind of like a staple of your team there. Was that just by choice, or is that by personnel? What's going on there?
It was a staple of my teams at Oregon when we got up and down with the speed of the game. And I've been trying to get pieces in place here where we could play a more faster brand of basketball. We are a really good shooting team when you take good shots. We're really good. And being able to shoot it that well, I don't mind them shooting the three because we could get going and really, really shoot it well. And that's been a good thing for us. So we don't have to live and die by it, but we've shot it well. Particularly the key guys have shot it well.
Mm-hmm. So what? Right now you're averaging like 52.6% of your shots are 3-pointers. Is that where you want it to be?
I think the game will dictate that, Purse, because in some games you get out and you spread the floor and those threes are there. In other games, people are running you off the three-point line. You got to go more inside. You got to beat them off the bounce. You got to attack more layups, not necessarily pounding it inside the low post players, but certainly driving and getting more layups, and that becomes your low post game as well too. So I'm comfortable with it, but I think the game will dictate what we do with the three-point line.
And then so obviously if you're so sort of heavy on the three-pointers and now you face a team that plays zone, it would seem like you have the weapon to sort of combat that. Can you talk a bit about what you've seen in like Washington's new defensive look here under Mike Hopkins?
I think they've done a really, really good job. They're long, they're athletic, they're really starting to understand what it is he's wanting to do in the zone. And it's not a zone where you want to live and die by the three-point shot. Although we shoot it extremely well, you cannot just keep the ball out on the perimeter against any zone. Either by the drive or by the pass, the ball has to go inside out and ball movement and stuff like that. We play zone. We play 2 different styles of zone that they're going to have to contend with, and it's going to be the same thing. So we've zoned ourselves. We've seen it before in practice and those types of things too. But theirs is really good. They do a good job with it.
Yeah. And then just the last thing here from me. Can you tell me a bit about Robert Franks and kind of, sort of, I guess, where he came from? I mean, obviously he was on the team last year, but just that type of jump, just to see a guy go from, he was like 7th on the team in scoring, and so now he's your leading scorer. Just how did that happen?
As I recall, I think you and I had this conversation about Josh Hawkinson the same way. And at some point in time, I'm hoping somebody said those players are being developed over there at Washington State. They're coaching them up over there. But, because you get players, Purse, and you kind of project. When we saw Robert in high school at our camp here, and we saw his body, but yet we saw the length of his arms, his big hands, his feathery touch, but he had this body that wasn't allow him to be what he wanted to be. So our focus has been with him. let's see where he's going to be when we get him in shape, give him his confidence, teach him the game more. So you really try to project down the road, very similar to what we did when I saw Josh, and that kid could be a stretch 4. Well, Robo also is a stretch 4 that's a pure shooter. So to his credit, he's allowed us to put a plan in place in the weight room, his conditioning. He has been excellent at monitoring his nutrition and going to work. And I saw a guy that sent me videos of him flipping gigantic tires out in the middle of a field while he's at home. That tells you his work ethic. And he has developed quite nicely, again, in this system where we teach and we develop and we move players along. And he's that next guy that has really taken hold of what we've been selling over here. He's bought into it, and his part of it is he has worked his tail off. He deserves everything he gets.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
You bet.
See you on Saturday.
You bet, sir.
Yeah, Ernie, you kind of talked about their zone a little bit. Of course, that's adopted from Syracuse. Does it remind you of any other zone you guys have played in the last few years? I know Oregon State kind of brought a tough one a few years ago. Is it similar to any other zone that you guys see throughout the season?
Oregon State's was different. It's similar in a sense, and it's really again, the focal point on it cannot be just shooting threes. They do a very good job of it, and at the same time, you can't overthink it, because the key to me is, we're pretty good defensively too when we're locked in, and you really make the game a defensive battle as much as you worry about their zone. They got to worry about man-to-man, our 1-3-1, and our 2-3 matchup zone, and we do a lot of things out of those different things as well too. They just have relied on theirs, and it's really taken teams that don't shoot the ball well and has made them stagnant, made them one-dimensional. And that's why they're so good in it. They do a good job of making you one-dimensional.
And I imagine you guys can kind of make it easier on yourselves by playing good defense, getting the ball, getting rebounds, running, and not letting them set up in that zone.
I think we can make it easier on ourselves. They can make it easier on themselves too. Anytime you play good defense, you can get out and get easy baskets. Yes.
Yeah. And obviously, Jalen Noel is kind of their leading scorer, one of the top freshmen in the league. Does it really help you guys to have Ed Haskins this week?
No. Ed can't. First of all, have you seen Ed play defense? Yeah. Secondly, he would shoot over the top of him anyhow because Ed's so short, so that ain't going to help us at all. No, that's going to – I think, again, he's a really, really terrific player. And again, I think all of their players have taken on the character that they need in that program right now to be successful. They've done a nice job in watching them game in and game out, looking at all their games. They really have evolved into a nice team.
Have you kind of spoken to Ed about that kind of individual, not necessarily matchup, but kind of reunion where it's kind of a unique situation where former head coach playing against his old player and kind of a unique opportunity for those guys?
No, I think in Ed's case, you're going to see a lot of that because he has had the ability to interact with so many players over there, maybe not even coaching them, but at some point in time they've been on a summer league program or a camp and all of that. He came into our program with a tremendous respect coming from Malachi Flynn and Robert Franks and Deontay Daniels, who knew of him, has interacted with him as well too. Even though he didn't coach them, they knew. So to Ed's credit, his success has allowed him to have a great reputation over there, and for him to have the opportunity to see one of his players, I think that's a tribute to him and what he's built over there in the time that he's such a successful high school coach.
And then Noah Dickerson's really had a great season. He's kind of thrived under Coach Hopkins, averaging 15 and 8. What has he done so well this year as opposed to years past?
I just think, again, as you mature as a player, you've been in this league, you've been at this level, you start to figure things out and you get into a comfort zone, and then all of a sudden you put your stamp on who you are as a player, and that's where he is right now. He's a nice player that's really evolving.
Do you see the confidence of your team shaking at all after this last kind of stretch? I know it's a young team, but you kind of have some senior leaders, Drake and then Robo's a little older, that can maybe kind of rein the team in and keep the confidence from getting shaken.
I think the good thing about this team, is that we have several different leaders on this team that lead in different ways, whether it's a quiet conversation after practice or whether it's being vocal in practice. And Drick is excellent in that area. Robo, Viante Daniels, Malachi, they all have been. Jeff Pollard, they've all have been really good. So I don't see that as the case. I think in these games, rival games like this, they're big games, and you tend to throw how you've played before out the window and all that because the game takes on a whole new meaning, and it's probably the right game that we need to play right now, coming back off the road and not having success, to make sure we have our players locked in, ready to go, because it's going to be a tough ball game.
All right. That's it from me. Happy New Year's, Coach.
Thanks, guys.